Well, Thomas Frank, what about this issue of not concentrating solely on the political aspects of the crisis, but seeing a general need for Americans to refashion their relationship with each other? You've written recently at Harper's Magazine about all of the uprisings in Wisconsin, the protests that have been spawned over the government cuts. Your sense of this relationship between the political movement and the social relationships or cultural development among the American people?
Well, I think
I want to say two things about this, and the first one is a little bit depressing, but I think I'm right about this. And I was very struck by what Grace was saying about a cultural revolution. People have the sense that the welfare state is kaput, that we've come to the end of something in America. And this is the really strange thing, is as I spent the last couple of years following the Tea Party movement, writing about them, going to their rallies, reading their books, that sort of thing. They have that exact same sense, but it comes from this completely different political perspective, right? But they're out there right now calling for the end of the welfare state. We can't afford it anymore. We have to get back to the fundamental truths that this country was founded on, by which they mean complete laissez-faire private enterprise. And they see themselves really as overturning everything, going back to Franklin Roosevelt, or even in some cases a guy like Glenn Beck, going back to Woodrow Wilson. That's what they're after, but they see it in this same apocalyptic way. And there is something that is really, really powerful about that image and that way of looking at things, And we have our own way of speaking about it, and Grace put it very eloquently, but the right has their own way of talking about those things, and so far they've been massively successful with it. Okay, which brings us to, and I'm sorry, it's depressing, but it's true. That is what's happening out in the streets of this country. The other thing is Madison, Wisconsin. So I was out there for some of the protests. I wasn't there for the big ones where they had 100,000 people, which actually happened. 100,000 people in a state capital, in a Midwestern state, protesting the war on organized labor in that state. But what was really amazing when I was out there, on ordinary protest days, a couple of thousand people there, that there's this amazing solidarity. It's like nothing I've seen in my lifetime. I mean, I've covered strikes before. I've written about, all manner of labor disputes, but I've never seen anything like this, where you've got people from all over the city, in fact, from all over the state, including farmers, showing up to protest Governor Walker's war on collective bargaining. I mean, the right, I think, and this is very interesting, I think they may finally have picked a fight that has, they have aroused the other side, finally. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life, and it was I went to a small town, and I described this all in the current issue of Harper's Magazine, or it'll be on newsstands tomorrow or the next day or something like that. But I went to a protest in a small town in Wisconsin, a small Republican town in Wisconsin. Now, I grew up in a state with a lot of small towns, right, in Kansas. I have never seen an organized labor protest in a small town before. This was just an astonishing thing to me, and I think it should be astonishing to all of us. This is all those myths of red states and blue states, all of that stuff. If we keep on down this road, all of that stuff will be tossed overboard. It'll be irrelevant. I hope it happens.